You've kept her and Rush in your thoughts and prayers. Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Limbaugh.
Hello, everyone. I know that I am most certainly not the Limbaugh that you tuned in to listen to today. I, like you, very much wish Rush was behind this golden microphone right now, welcoming you to another exceptional 3 hours of broadcasting. For over 32 years, Rush has cherished you, his loyal audience, and always look forward to every single show. It is with profound sadness I must share with you directly that our beloved Rush, my wonderful husband, passed away this morning due to complications from lung cancer. As so many of you know, losing a loved one is terribly difficult. Even more so when that loved one is larger than life. Rush will forever be the greatest of all time. Rush was an extraordinary man, a gentle giant, brilliant, quick-witted, genuinely kind, extremely generous, passionate, courageous, and the hardest working person I know. Despite being one of the most recognized, powerful people in the world, Rush never let the success change his core or beliefs. He was polite and respectful to everyone he met. Even most recently, when he was not feeling well in the hospital, he was so appreciative to every single doctor and nurse and custodian and first responder. He never wanted to put anyone out and always thanked them profusely for their help. From today on, there will be a tremendous void in our lives and, of course, on the radio. Rush loved our miraculous country beyond measure. An unwavering patriot. He loved our United States military, our flag, our Constitution, our founding fathers. He proudly fought and defended conservative values in a way that no one else can. Rush often stood up and took arrows on his own because he knew it was the right thing to do. Rush encouraged so many of us to think for ourselves, to learn, and to lead. He often said it did not matter where you started or what you look like. As Americans, we all have endless opportunities like nowhere else in the world. Rush gave us hope that through hard work and determination, we can overcome the obstacles in our lives and be our best. Many of you started small businesses or pursued personal dreams because Rush gave you the faith that you could. He made the most complex issues simple to understand, while making that level of genius look easy. It most certainly was anything but easy. Irreplaceable, remarkable talent. On behalf of the Limbaugh family, I would personally like to thank each and every one of you who prayed for Rush and inspired him to keep going. You rallied around Rush and lifted him up when he needed you the most. I am certain, without a shadow of a doubt, if he could be here today, he would be. He loved you, and he loved this radio program with every part of his being. Instead, we know our Rush is in heaven, encouraging us in the same way he always did on earth. Rush's love for our country and belief that our best days are ahead live on eternally. In Rush's honor, may we all continue Rush's mission in our individual lives and communities. I know all of you listening are terribly sad. We all are. I'm terribly sorry to have to deliver this news to you. God bless you, Rush, and God bless our country.
Catherine Limbaugh. And that's how the show opened yesterday. The opening bumper music came up. My City Was Gone by the Pretenders, which was more known for Rush Limbaugh than it was for the Pretenders. Chrissie Hynde graciously, although she's not a conservative, Chrissie Hynde gave Rush Limbaugh permission to use that as his opening theme. She was on board with it because her dad, who had passed away, would love Rush Limbaugh. So she did it for her dad. She did it for Rush Limbaugh. And I think probably that music track, insofar as bumper music for a talk show is concerned, will probably be retired, I would think. I don't know, maybe not right away. It'll be interesting to me to see how the void is filled. When I got the news yesterday, I was actually, I was so involved in trying to get this game on yesterday. We had some technical problems. So I was so involved in that, I really wasn't paying attention to the news. I get off the air, my son calls me and said, "Dad, did you hear Rush Limbaugh died?" And we knew it was coming. If you listen, you know he's been off more and more lately. You knew it was coming. But except for an occasional dip in his voice, a little hoarseness from time to time that wasn't there before, you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell he was enduring any suffering, except for he did let you in on the fact that he was as a result of the treatments from time to time. But you're never ready for it, whether it's a family member or somebody who's just such a large part, bigger than life, as Catherine Limbaugh said, and he was. It just is expectedly. When your 90-year-old grandparent dies, you know how it is. It's coming, but it's just, wow. And those of us in radio, talk radio, Rush has been the guiding light. He was the lighthouse, as it were. He was the beacon for all to emulate from the time he came on right up until his death. And now there are going to be some large shoes to fill. And I'm sure there are going to be people who step up. And, we just have to honor the man and his legend and what he did. He had talent on loan from God. He knew he wasn't God. He was just a man. But he really changed the landscape of politics in this country in a huge way. He emboldened, like Trump emboldened a lot of conservatives to come out and speak up and gave us vim and vigor. So did Rush Limbaugh, even earlier when he started his talk show and emboldened conservatives to be proud conservatives and not hide in the corners. Now, back in the day when Rush Limbaugh first came on, liberals weren't nearly as angry and mean and vitriolic as they are today. Rush is all we needed. We needed somebody like Trump more recently to show us that it doesn't matter how mean and vitriolic they get, we can have a voice, and we have. And Donald Trump did a very nice tribute yesterday to Rush Limbaugh, and we've got that coming up. But first, and I hate to do this, but you need to know, because one of the important things I think, now maybe I'm reading this wrong, but one of the important things for all of us to be able to do is to understand the kind of hatred we are fighting against. I mean, you see it on social media all the time, but it goes well beyond that. It's now in the fabric of the progressives. The hatred, the vitriol, the violence, they encompass all of that. We have to be emboldened. We have to be strong. Now, as I say, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry that I'm starting the show out with this. I'm sorry that I'm able to start the show out with this. I'm sorry that it is possible for me to highlight such insensitivity, such hatred coming from none other than mainstream media. This is sad beyond belief. And hold on just a second. I tell you what, I've got to take a break. I'm getting a sign. I've got to take a break. But you've got to understand what we're fighting against. And once you understand that, it'll give you the energy. It will give you the desire to fight it tooth and nail. It is a moral fight. It is a righteous fight. We are fighting immoral and unrighteous people. As you will see coming up. The worst of the worst is coming up. But again, I may be reading it wrong, but I think you need to understand the types of people who are out there and what they are emboldened to say without a filter, without any inhibition. And they are an example of what all of the left progressives are. I'm not saying all of the liberals. I'm not saying all of the Democrats. I'm saying all of the progressive left. They all fall into this horrible category of immoral. They have no filter. They have no class. There is no class at all. So we'll take a break. I've got to do a little bit of sharing here, and we will be back. Let's start out with Today in History. It is the 18th of January, and this is the Associated Press. February, sorry about that.
February 18th, 1885. Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, one of the great American novels, is first published in the United States. 1861, months before the Civil War breaks out, Jefferson Davis is sworn in as president of the newly formed Confederate States of America. 1970, 5 of the Chicago 7 defendants are found guilty of conspiring to incite riots at the 1968 Democratic National Convention. The convictions are later overturned. 2001, veteran FBI agent Robert Hansen is arrested, accused of spying for Moscow for years. At first, Hansen pleads innocent, but then changes his plea to guilty, and he's sentenced to life in prison. Also that same year,
we've lost Dale Earnhardt.
in Florida, auto racing star Dale Earnhardt Sr. dies from injuries received in a crash at the Daytona 500. He was 49. And in 1954,
I work on my hair a long time, and you hit it. He hits my hair.
actor John Travolta, whose movie roles include Saturday Night Fever, Grease, and Pulp Fiction, is born in Englewood, New Jersey. Today in history, February 18th, John Belmont, The Associated Press.
WSKW, Legacy 1160.
With salt and sand from the road getting everywhere, Linux of Augusta has what you need to protect the inside of your vehicle. Stop in today and see the selection of WeatherTech mats, trunk liners, and accessories available for nearly any vehicle to protect those high-use areas. Or maybe you're thinking of installing a fiberglass truck cap. With Lear fiberglass truck caps, they offer a range of sizes that will boost both the value and the usefulness of your truck in all seasons. Call Linux of Augusta today at 582-0282 or stop by at 509 Main Avenue in Farmingdale.
Townline Antiques wants to know, what are you shopping for today? Searching for furniture to add to your home? Townline Antiques has beautiful pieces of furniture for every room, built to last with quality materials from the past. Thinking of decorating in a classic style? You'll find enchanting home decor, artwork, glassware, and hundreds more items around every corner. Do you collect books, comics, coins, sports memorabilia, watches, or classic electronics? Townline Antiques has cool, rare, and one-of-a-kind items to add to your collection that you won't find anywhere else. If you love searching through the treasures of the past, here's more great news. Townline Antiques has expanded with extra booth space. Now there are even more quality antiques to browse every time you visit. Plus, there are a limited number of dealer spaces now available. If you'd like to learn more about selling at Townline Antiques, just stop in. Townline Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5, Route 201, right on the Winslow-Vassaboro Town Line.
At most dealerships, used vehicles are in short supply, and the vehicles that they do have are priced as though they're made of solid gold. At Darling's in Augusta and Brunswick, we have a great selection of quality used vehicles to choose from at prices to fit almost any budget. In fact, we have a large selection of inspected vehicles that are priced below $12,000. Put your tax return to good use and drive away in a reliable vehicle with low monthly payments. Darling's team of professionals take pride in finding the right vehicle for you, regardless of your credit history or prior financial concerns. We take the time to listen to your needs, and we won't rest until you find exactly what you're looking for. Choose from over 500 vehicles in stock right now at Darling's. Visit us online at darlings.com or stop by to see us today in Augusta or at our newest location in Brunswick. You'll do better at Darling's.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. Becoming mostly cloudy this morning and for today. Highs will be in the mid to upper 20s. Snow develops late tonight through tomorrow. Expect periods of light snow through the day tomorrow. Most areas are only looking at light accumulations of 1 to 3 inches. Slightly more possible for southernmost Maine and New Hampshire. Mostly cloudy Saturday, sunny Sunday with highs in the low 30s.
I use this only for tribute and not to try to emulate the inimitable Rush Limbaugh. It is 9:30 right now. I'm John James, and this is Legacy 1160 WSKW. We lost a great one yesterday. Rush Limbaugh. A lot of comments coming in here on the feed. Thank you very much. Yeah, the hatred is getting to be too much. It is. I'm thinking about taking a social media break. People are making me feel sick. Celebrating a man's death is so disgusting. Agreed. People on Twitter threatening, saying bad things. He's dead and being disrespectful. I don't know what to say. There's nothing you can say except this is the left. This is their fuel. Literally, this is what fuels them, is rage and anger. It doesn't matter that somebody dies to them. Now, I don't know about you, but if somebody on the left dies, just say, for example, and I'm not wishing anybody dead. I'm just, say, for example, somebody we talk about who is disgraceful, like Al Sharpton, like Ali Velci, Stephanie Rule. Say if something happened to one of them, the last thing I would do, despite the fact I hate everything these people say, everything, they say nothing, especially Al Sharpton says nothing if it's not out of hate and racism. But I would say nothing. I would wish the family well. Sorry for your loss. There's a thing called time and place. Professionals and good human beings know this. Now, when it comes to jokes, you know, and I've got to be honest with you, I have not used proper time and space when it comes to making jokes sometimes. And so oftentimes they've been kind of funny. I've never done it to hurt a person's reputation. But, you know, sometimes people say, too soon. Well, when it comes to hatred and vitriol, it's always too soon, especially on the day someone dies. By the way, Parler is up this morning. We are on Parler. We're on USA.life and all of the usual places. So remember when you learned about when you learned you were growing up and you were taught that if you don't have something good to say, don't say it at all? I think we were all told this by our parents or our teachers. In this day of partisan politics, that's pretty much out the window for everybody. But you would think after the target of your hostility and hatred passes away, you'd give the criticism, the hatred, just a little bit of a break. You would think, because the voice you dislike has been silenced. The voice that you consider divisive and can't stand cannot argue back. Well, I guess the amazing racist Joy Reid on MSNBC never got that lesson. Last night, hours after Rush Limbaugh passed, she went double-barrel racist on Rush Limbaugh and his what she calls racism, with a predictable leftist and poorly placed rant, which just sounded petty, hyper-racist, and ultra-bitchy, as she led into a progressive panel. Here is the reprehensible, and that's too good a word for her, Joy Reid.
But Operation Chaos had contributed to the polarization of American politics, and more importantly, the idea of injecting chaos and sexism, manipulation, racism, and dirty tricks directly into the artery of the Republican Party, bloodying people up, rather than faking compassionate conservatism and trying to get crossover votes, that ultimately would become the defining feature of Republican politics. Rush ultimately got his way. Rush Limbaugh reached millions of listeners via his golden microphone, with his shows airing in small stations out in rural America that even Fox News couldn't reach, hardening rural white listeners and weaponizing white male grievance. And what I heard was a guy who took white Americans out there in the hinterlands and fed them a narrative of, you're the victim. No, you're the victim. Don't feel like there's any privileges coming to you. You're the victim. The brown people, the black people, the women, the feminazis, they're taking it from you. They're taking things from you. And it kept people so hyper and amped up that he then was able to turn that into politics.
How on earth can the most hardened people listen to that and cheer it? But she does have her cheerleaders. Joy Reid, probably one of the greatest racists. I don't mean great in the sense that she's awesome. I mean great in that her bounds for pushing the racist theory She's boundless. I mean, there are no parameters. There are no borders. There is no place where she'll say, he just died today. He's got a wife, a grieving wife. He's got millions of grieving. I mean, seriously, how could anybody watch her? But millions still will, because they feel the same way she does. But how could they? How is she ever going to expand her base? I will tell you, the difference between her and Rush Limbaugh had some modicum of humanity about him, didn't he? I think he had a lot of humanity about him. He also, and we all step over the line from time to time. Joy Reid steps over the line every single night with her race-baiting, white-hating mantra. How is she ever going to broaden her base? Rush was an entertainer. Rush could entertain and make points. All she can do is spread racism and hate on MSNBC, where there is no editorial opinion, according to Chuck Todd. What was that? What was that? There is zero entertainment value to Joy Reid. And they say that the right wing incited an insurrection at the Capitol. What is this? Who is inciting race wars on television every single night and nobody bats an eyelash? Let's be truthful. Many millions of Americans just lost a folk hero, someone who was unafraid to speak the truth, someone who was a conservative, moral human being, somebody who just passed away and left a grieving family. Has she no heart? Has she no morals? Does she have no compass whatsoever? Joy Reid is reprehensible. I'm not going to say boycott Joy Reid because I'm not one of these mad, vitriolic, leftist progressives. That's what you do. Progressives, that's what you do. You watch what you want. Watch Joy Reid if you want. Somebody's got to watch her. She's got to feed her family. If you watch her, though, if you watch Joy Reid and like her show, and I find out that you want, trust me, it's just a personal thing, but I'm going to think a whole lot less of you if you can watch that tripe on TV and suck it in. No wonder you're angry. No wonder you're mad. Because you're told to be mad. You're told Rush Limbaugh hates black and brown people after he dies, on the day he dies. How dare she? I am insulted beyond belief. No, I'm not going to try to get her fired. I'm not going to say boycott Joy Reid. Again, that's a leftist progressive thing. You have at it. It shows how ignorant, how knee-jerk reactive you are, how hateful you are. If I sound a little angry on the radio right now, I am. I'm just angry at the vitriol, the anger. My anger is well placed. Yours is just on everything you don't like, and you don't like much. Except inclusiveness and love. Speaking of that, another thing I hate to bring to you this morning. There's as I said, there's nobody short of a terrorist, dying or child abusers, women beaters, ruthless murderers. I would never celebrate death and suffering of anyone unless they were deserving of it. Was Rush deserving? Because he used the First Amendment for his free speech. Was he deserving of suffering and dying a painful death? Was he? And if you believe he was, here's the delineation. Here is the delineation between sane and insane, between being controlled by your mind and being controlled by your all-important feelings, which is all the left has. By the way, they don't think. They have no thoughts in their head. They have no critical thinking in their skulls. They are, for all intents and purposes, they are brain dead, except for whatever book smarts, whatever intellect they have gotten in there from academia. But they have no common sense. They don't learn from experience. They have no moral compass. None of it. None of it. And you're about to see that in a big way. This is, now here's the delineation I'm talking about. You can hate somebody. You can't help if you hate somebody. Some people just don't like anybody. And they can't help it, maybe. Maybe they can, but maybe they don't want to. And there are just some people you don't like. But when something bad happens to them, do you scream out in the public square, I hope they die a miserable death, for no reason whatsoever other than the fact you don't like the way they talk? Do you do that? No. No, see, that's where the brain comes in. That's where the brain overrules feelings. You may hate somebody, you may wish evil things for them, and you can't help that perhaps, but you don't utter them because you have a brain. Well, such is not the case here. Sadly, there are many evil, corrupt, thoughtless, moralless people out there who are celebrating the death of Rush Limbaugh, the godfather of talk radio, a man who loved his family, loved America, loved doing his radio show every day, never hurt a flea. Now, this takes a turn that I didn't expect. One of the haters is someone who pretends to be smarter than the rest of us, someone who sees themselves as intellectual and elite, better than you and me, because we're, of course, knuckle draggers. Oh, but that would be a compliment by comparison to what she publicly said about Rush Limbaugh. Oh, did I mention this woman hails from Bangor, Maine? Her name is Sarah Parcak, I think, Parcak. It could be Parcak. Here is a piece that was shared on Fox and Friends, along with a picture of this evil woman. Now, to look at her, she doesn't look evil. She looks like a fairly attractive young woman. But she is a professor in, University of Alabama, Birmingham. Anthropology professor. Here's what she said. I wish I was making this up. I wish I didn't have to read it to you, but you need to know our enemies. And you need to know how low they go. You just heard Joy Reid. Joy Reid went on a tirade as she welcomed her leftist panel onto the show about how Rush Limbaugh was a racist, and he tried to get white people to hate black and brown people. Of course, that's her shtick. She's a racist. She exacerbates hatred and violence. But you never hear her called out for insurrection activity. You never hear her or Chris Cuomo or any of them called out for all the riots that took place all across the country. No, those are righteous. No, Kamala Harris was bailing those people out so they could go back out and re-riot. Oh, that was all good. All good. Two-faced, hypocritical, immoral scumbags. Here's what Sarah Parcak, University of Alabama, Birmingham, a Bangor, Maine native, I guess, said that she hoped that Rush Limbaugh suffered until his last breath. When a terrible piece of scum who caused immeasurable harm to millions dies, there is no sympathy, only a desire that they suffered until their last breath. Mainer, aren't you proud that we have people in, we have people in Maine just like her. And she's not in Maine now, I guess. Good riddance to her. Don't come back. We don't need scum like you in here. Shut your mouth and do what you do. Just shut your mouth. Nobody respects you except the leftists who love to feed on hate. Their hate is their fuel. It's like filling up the gas station. Oh, give me some hate. Tell me you wish Rush Limbaugh would suffer until his last breath. That's what I need. I love that. God forbid. God have mercy on their souls, the people who are like this. So this professor, and I'll say her name again, her name is Sarah Parcak, P-A-R-C-A-K. She, like Joy Reid, is reprehensible. This academic fool wishes a horrible death on a man who did nothing but use his First Amendment to speak truth to power. And you know what the ironic part of this story is? I can almost guarantee this ignorant fool is opposed to the death penalty for the worst of the worst criminals. I bet you, because this is how they are. They don't make any sense. They have no sense. Don't try to figure that out. Sometimes my head hurts. And people say, oh, they make my head hurt. They do. They literally make my head hurt because what they say makes no sense. So she wishes Rush Limbaugh a painful, horrible death because of all he's done to hurt millions of people. Name one. Show me one. Show me one. Did he hurt some feelings? That's what she considers. You hurt somebody's feelings. If you're a leftist, hurting someone's feelings is tantamount to putting a stake in their heart. Because that's the lifeblood of the progressive. It's feelings. That's the first thing you have to know. And that major feeling is anger. They love anger. Know your enemy. So while she wanted Rush Limbaugh to suffer a painful death, I hope it wasn't painful. I'm sure it wasn't comfortable, but I'm sure they had comfort. They call it what do they call it? Palatable care or something like that. I know the term. I can't think of it. But as they are transitioning, they are kept very comfortable and usually unconscious. So I hope his passing was anything but painful, and I'm sure they kept him comfortable. But this very woman from Maine, this Sarah Parcak, I'm sure is against the death penalty. Because this is the hypocrisy of leftist thought. How do I know that? Well, I can also guarantee you, I don't know the woman, never saw her before this, never knew I would never known she was from Maine, unless a friend said she's from Maine. Probably in the Wikipedia story where the picture came from. But I can almost guarantee you this woman is pro-choice, which for those who may not know or may be afraid, and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to say the words anymore. I would always, especially before I get into talk radio, before I was given, thank God for this radio company. Thank God for everybody at this radio company. They don't put the muzzle on us at all. Thank God. I can tell you what I wouldn't have told, I would never have uttered on commercial radio ever before in my career. You know, from time to time, we would do call-in segments on Top 40 radio about pro-choice and anti-abortion, pro-choice and pro-life. That's the way we framed it, pro-choice and pro-life. But now I'm going to say exactly what it is because I have no filter. I have no muzzle. It's pro-life and pro-baby killing. And I can guarantee you Sarah Parsack of Maine teaches for Alabama Birmingham is pro-baby killing. She is pro-killing infants in the womb, even as she wishes Rush Limbaugh a painful death. $9:52. We got to take a break. We've got quite a bit more to get to here on the Rush Limbaugh memorial. I plan to use an hour to do this, but there's just a lot to get to because we need to get to the great memorials that were done. One was just beautiful, written by one of his longtime fill-in hosts, Mark Stein. I've got that coming up for you. We'll also hear from a woman called Tina from the Bronx, who we featured quite a bit during the election cycle. She is a conservative from the Bronx, and she's every bit a Bronx native. You can tell by her New York accent, but she had a nice tribute to Rush yesterday, as did Dan Bongino. Well, it was at Dan Bongino's website, plus Donald Trump and Mike Pence as well. All coming up on Freedom's Pep Rally. 9:53, I'm John James.
Are you interested in direct patient care? Consider training to become a certified nursing assistant at Northern Light Continuing Care Lakewood. You will earn while you learn in this 40-hour per week paid position. Train as a CNA for 32 hours per week and spend your remaining hours as a unit helper in one of Lakewood's nursing units. This training is in partnership with Mid-Maine Regional Adult Community Education and Kennebec Valley Community College and generously funded through a grant from the Maine Quality Center. Applicants must be 18 years of age or older and meet the employment guidelines of Northern Light Health. Our next training starts March 1st and space is limited. So apply today at northernlighthealth.org/careers and use job number 1306. Again, that's northernlighthealth.org/careers, job number 1306, or call 861-3022 for more information. Don't wait. Start your career today. Northern Light Health is an equal opportunity employer.
What's important here at Moody's is we have a lot of opportunity for upward mobility.
Moody's definitely helped me through. They sent me to school. I got my degree in business.
I had the demeanor and I had the willpower and the want.
Our trade is constantly changing and there's always new challenges that arise.
I definitely feel like an owner. It's very exciting.
When you like what you do, you like your job, you like the people you work with, what else could you ask for?
Bring your skills to Moody's and build a long-term future with us.
There's something comforting about having a new carpet to walk on and dig your toes into. And at HT Winters, their quality line of carpeting like Shaw and Milliken will have your carpet looking and feeling great for years to come. They've also got a nice selection of carpet tiles and area rugs for both indoor and outdoor to add a nice accent to your home. Whether you need carpet for your home or business, you won't find better products and a more knowledgeable staff than at HT Winters, 43 Bay Street, Winslow, and online at htwintersflooring.com.
Your pep rally for freedom is back, powered by the Gun Shop in Augusta on Coney Circle. Now, here's John James.
Hi, how are you? 9:55. Today, remembering the godfather of talk radio, Rush Limbaugh, who passed away yesterday. As we said earlier in the show, it's one of those things is coming, but you're just not prepared for it. It obviously it doesn't hit you quite as emotionally as losing a loved one does, but it's still it hits you hard in a different way because it's somebody you've heard for many years, somebody you've looked up to, somebody you've learned a lot from, somebody who is larger than life, as Catherine Limbaugh said yesterday during her open. And in a way, I'm glad I didn't hear that. I was still at the station when the open happened. Because, normally if I get out of here in time, I can actually turn the radio on and hear the open. And I've heard more often than not lately, Mark Stein or Ken Matthews or one of the fill-in guys is on. And it's been more and more prevalent the last couple of weeks. And something, I can't remember what it was, but something Mark Stein said the other day as he was a fill-in host. He had actually played a piece back on that Rush Limbaugh did on an earlier show. And he came out of it saying, and it was a good piece. I mean, it was a good piece, and just about everything Rush does is evergreen, except the only things that change are the names. But by evergreen, I mean, it's good anytime. I mean, everything he did is pretty relevant, whether he said it 10 years ago or said it today. As I say, with the exception of the players. And the anger's gotten a lot worse, too. But this was pretty relevant. I don't know if it was recent or not, but he came out and said, I just wanted you to hear Rush's voice and know that we are praying for him, and something along those lines. I thought, this, you read between the lines, right? And I thought, this doesn't sound real good. And yesterday, if I'd heard that Pretenders song come on and then heard Catherine Limbaugh's voice, obviously, I would have known right away, as soon as her voice came on, I would have known right away that this is the announcement. And sadly, it was. So anyway, coming up next hour, let's look at some of the good stuff. You had to know the bad stuff. And as Corey is pointing out, and others here on the feed this morning, a lot of people are seeing on Twitter the hatred, the hate-fueled ignorance coming out of leftists. It's stuff you never see. Yeah, well, I'm not going to say you never see it, but you don't see it in large numbers coming out of conservatives. It's definitely a leftist progressive thing. The hate and the anger is a leftist progressive thing. I don't know, my wife would call it short man syndrome. They're probably all short white men in their basements, the virtue signaling people who preach white privilege and racism. But, we did hear the bad. We heard from Joy Reid, the always deplorable, reprehensible, racist Joy Reid of MSNBC. We heard the professor from Maine, who is now at the University of Birmingham in Alabama. Just horrible, 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 inhuman things, especially this professor. I mean, if she doesn't lose students, or if she keeps her job after this has been revealed, then you know how far gone academia is. You understand how far gone academia is. If this woman can keep a job and doesn't have a mass walkout by students, you know they're all on the same page. They agree with her. Wishing people who are dying pain and suffering as they take their last breath. Now, that's real. That's classy. That's classy. It's 10 o'clock, and we're back with a lot more right after the news, including that Mark Stein piece, and Donald Trump and Mike Pence, both with nice words yesterday for Rush Limbaugh.
From the Home Auto Group Studios, Farmington Ford and Franklin Chrysler in Farmington. This is WSKW, Skowhegan, Augusta, Waterville, Legacy 1160.
ABC News, I'm Alex Perche. First-time unemployment claims jumped last week. The Labor Department says 861,000 Americans filed claims. That's up 13,000 from the week before. Another morning and more rough weather in the South, especially in the state of Texas. The mayor of Galveston setting up warming centers and shelters for the many in his city who are still without power in the bitterly cold weather.
We need to get our power up. We need to turn water off to all these homes where the pipes have burst and draining the system. We're working with the citizens on that. And we have a food and a water concern here on the island.
Mayor Craig Brown says they're also trying to get more bottled water. Some 7 million people in Texas are under boil water orders. The House Financial Services Committee holding a hearing on last month's GameStop rise and fall on Wall Street. Members want to hear from hedge fund managers, those running the online trading site Robinhood, and the operators of online messaging boards like Reddit. This is ABC News. Democrats on Capitol Hill plan to introduce a new immigration reform package today. ABC's Cecilia Vega says it is a roundup of priorities laid out by President Biden.
That would be an 8-year path to citizenship for the 11 million undocumented people in this country, folks like dreamers, farm workers, and other immigrants who are considered to be among the most vulnerable from places like war zones would essentially get bumped to the front of the line, and they would get green cards immediately if they could pass background checks and other requirements. This would only apply to people who have been in this country since before January 1st of this year.
But so far, there doesn't appear to be any Republican support of the bill on Capitol Hill. Facebook news feeds looking very different today in Australia, with the country considering a proposal to force big platforms to pay news organizations for content. Facebook decided to ban news altogether. Google is now letting you feed your parking meter right through Google Maps. The new feature is available in 400 cities. Alex Perchet, ABC News.
In honor of President's Day, Dell delivers savings to help America's small businesses get more done. Office Anywhere, with up to 50% off high-performance laptops, desktops, and servers with Intel Core processors and top-brand electronics. Plus, refresh now with flexible financing options. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/President's Day.
Chrissy is refinancing her home, so she shopped around for the lowest rate and found it at Amerisave.com, setting her up for a lifetime of savings. It's one decision she'll never regret, unlike wearing tap shoes to a surprise party.
Sorry, guys. Just trying to find the perfect hiding place.
Pretty regrettable, Chrissy. Unlike finding that low mortgage rate at Amerisave.com that's got you on your way to a lifetime of savings. Amerisave's rates won't be this low forever, so go to Amerisave.com now. Lower mortgage rates mean higher savings. Call 866-514-SAVE or visit Amerisave.com/licensing for cost information, terms, and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all states except New York. And MLS number 1168.
Welcome back. Our tribute to Rush Limbaugh continues. Just using the music in tribute to the late, great Rush. There are plenty of people sending the love to his family and to fellow listeners. And we will not let the hate take that away from us. I mean, they speak volumes with their hate, especially so soon after the day of for Joy Reid and others. By the way, Brian Stelter on CNN. There was another MSNBC show, CBS last night. I was watching Channel 5. And rather than highlight anything good, they all highlighted the stuff that made Rush Limbaugh somewhat controversial at times. And they spoke about it. The woman who he called a slut, or asked, does that mean she's a slut? When she was asking for the government to pay for her contraceptives. He apologized for that, by the way. And other things. And this is what they all did, with the exception of Fox News. Fox News took the high road. Remember what Michelle Obama said so disingenuously? Remember Michelle Obama, the lying racist Michelle Obama, said, when they go low, we go high? No, actually, you know who had it right? The person who had it right was the deplorable Rahm Emanuel, former mayor of Chicago, former Obama administration official. He's the one that had it right. When they go low, we kick them. That's what he said. And at least he was honest. At least he was honest. 5 minutes past 10 o'clock. And first thing I want to start out with is a piece of text written by Mark Stein, who is a regular on Fox News. I don't know, but he might have a show there now. I saw him on, I think 7 o'clock. I don't know. I don't follow the stations that closely, but he was doing a fill-in thing, at least on Fox. He's done a fill-in for Rush for years. He wrote a very nice tribute, beautiful tribute to Rush Limbaugh, and it appears at his website, steinonline.com. Mark Stein. It is with profound sadness that we announce the death of Rush Limbaugh, a giant American in broadcasting, a uniquely talented performer, and hugely generous man whom I owe almost everything. Rush died this morning after a year-long struggle with lung cancer. I was scheduled to guest host today's show. Instead, as you can hear, his beloved Catherine will be introducing a special program put together by the EIB team to celebrate a great man's life and legacy. It's a hard thing to do, compressing a glorious third of a century into 3 hours. But snurdly, James Golden is his name, Craig, Mike, Allie, and everyone else I've worked with there for so many years will do their best. Mark Stein goes on. Usually in this line of work, if you're lucky, you get a moment, a year or two, when you're the in thing. And you hope to hold enough of that moment as it slowly fades away to keep you going till retirement. Rush did something unprecedented in history of TV and radio. Commercial broadcasting began in the United States in 1920. The Rush Limbaugh Show came along 2/3 of a century later, became the #1 program very quickly, and has stayed at the top all the way to today for a third of the entire history of the medium. And throughout all those decades, Rush and his show stayed exactly the same. A forensic breakdown of the day's news, punctuated by the musical parodies, satirical sketches, and Rush's own optimism and good humor, even though this last terrible year took place. The comedy is what many enemies and half his own side missed. Rush took politics seriously, but not solemnly. In the early years of the War on Terror, he introduced an Afghan version of himself with talent on loan from Allah, and sold Club Gitmo merchandise for those seeking a tropical retreat from jihad. When Brokeback Mountain was in the news, the show ran trailers for Return to Saddle Sore Canyon. It's John McCain and Lindsey Graham as you've always wanted to see them, which, in my case, at least, is true. This is Mark Stein's tribute to Rush. I know precisely when I first heard Rush. It was not long after he started the show and not long after I bought my pad in New Hampshire. I was driving some visitors from London through the North Maine woods toward New Brunswick, and the only thing that comes in is the soft and easy station on 94.9 FM from the top of Mount Washington. And then that died, and there was nothing. And I forgot to switch it off, so it was automatically scanning. And up around the dial, we chit-chatted in the car as the radio continued to scan, and then suddenly it found some guy. And there he was talking about the arts and croissants crowd moving into your town and reading out the press releases from NOW, the National Association for Women, whom he called the NAGs, National Association of Gals, and playing Andy Williams' version of Born Free, punctuated by gunfire to accompany any environmental story. Mark Stein, he wrote this yesterday. And there he is in the North Maine woods, and in my car, conversation ceased. My friends were what you might call slightly skeptical lefties, so they disagreed with what Rush said on the issues, but they were rapt by the way he said it, because they had never heard anybody say it like that before. It was a unique combination, absolute piercing philosophical clarity, and the grand rollicking presentational style honed through all the lean years of minor market disc jockeying. First, he perfected the style, and then he applied it to the content. When Clinton was elected, Rush opened his shows for years with America Held Hostage, Day 39, Day 73, Day 124, and so on. And when Newt's Republicans won the 1994 midterms, he started with James Brown singing I Feel Good. One man doing what he wanted to do to save an entire medium, AM radio, and turned all its old rules upside down. Traditionally, morning drive is your big audience, and everything tapers off from there. Rush figured that everyone needs a local guy at that time with traffic and weather updates and so forth, and that the opportunity to build a national show lay in the hitherto somnolent slot of noon to 3 Eastern, 9 to 12 Pacific. And within a couple of years, hundreds of stations were building up their entire schedule around this midday guy. And in the scheme of things, I'm not sure how many of those stations will be able to keep that going without him. And it goes on and on and on. It was a very nice piece by Mark Stein. And again, you can read it at steinonline.com. And what I'm going to do right now, as a matter of fact, as soon as we get into the break, I'm going to post it at our at the website where you can get all these stories that we post. Go to legacy1160.com/FPR for Freedom's Pep Rally, and you'll be able to link to it right there and read it in its entirety. But it really is a great piece. And there was another great piece yesterday, and this one actually came from Dan Bongino's website, danbongino.com. And it highlights some of the best quotes from Rush Limbaugh. It's bongino.com. John Hawkins is the guy who wrote the piece called Rush Limbaugh's 20 Greatest Quotes. And they're classic and forever true. They are what we call evergreens. Because we know the left is not going to change. They only get worse over time, unlike a fine wine. Now, Hawkins says Rush Limbaugh was one of the greatest figures in the last half century. He could personally take credits for millions of people becoming conservatives. He was a legend, an icon, will be missed. And in honor of the great man, here are Rush's 20 greatest quotes. Number 20. The liberals, you see, do not want, and these are true. I mean, these are learning moments. The liberals, you see, do not want to confront conservative ideas. They just attack conservatives as a group, and particularly their motives. If you believe what they say about us, you would think that if someone like Bill Bennett or Jack Kemp or myself were driving through South Central Los Angeles and looking at the slums and poverty, we would go, oh man, this is great. They've got nothing, so that means we get more. It's simply preposterous. We all want to live in a great country. And for the country to fulfill potential, you need individuals to be the best they can be, not the government taking care of people. Number 19, for government to give, it must first take away. Quote number 18, Rush Limbaugh. The people that make this country work, the people who pay on their mortgages, the people getting up and going to work, striving in this recession to not participate in it, they're not the enemy. They're the people that hire you. They're the people that are going to give you a job. Number 17. Now, what's the left's worldview in general? What is it? If you had to attach not a philosophy but an attitude to a leftist worldview, it's one of pessimism and darkness, sadness. They're never happy, are they? They're always angry about something. No matter what they get, they're always angry. Rush Limbaugh quote number 16. I'm a huge supporter of women. What I'm not a supporter of is liberalism. Feminism is what I'm opposed to. Feminism has led women astray. I love the women's movement, especially when walking behind it. Number 15. Liberals always exempt themselves from the rules that they impose on others. How many times have we seen that? Quote number 14, Rush Limbaugh, bigot, a person who wins an argument with a liberal. Number 13, liberals measure compassion by how many people are given welfare. Conservatives measure compassion by how many people no longer need it. Quote number 12, Rush Limbaugh. Conservatism is an active intellectual pursuit. It requires constant vigilance. It has nothing to do with feelings. Liberalism is the most gutless choice you can make. You see suffering and say, "Oh, I feel so horrible." Isn't that the leftists? Isn't that a great way to sum it up? Number 11, Rush Limbaugh. I'm convinced that a lot of people simply don't know what's available out there and how it is possible to find a job and work your way up if you are willing to accept responsibility for your life. I know what it's like to be on the bottom. I've been broke. I've been fired 7 times from jobs, and I don't even have a college degree, but I didn't blame anyone else for my problems. I knew that if I didn't try to solve them on my own or with the help of friends and family members, no one else was going to take care of me. Number 10, I'm not opposed to the protection of animals, but the best way to do it is to make sure some human being owns them. Number 9, morality is not defined and cannot be defined by individual choice. Number 8, no nation has ever taxed itself into prosperity. Yet that's what Joe Biden's trying to do right now. Number 7, end results that work that don't involve government threaten liberals. Rush Limbaugh quotes number 6. Let me tell you who we conservatives are. We love people. When we look out over the United States of America, when we are anywhere, when we see a group of people, such as this or anywhere, we see Americans. We see human beings. We don't see groups. We don't see victims. In other words, we don't see black. We don't see brown. We don't see Asian. We don't see white. We see people. Apparently, that's a quote that Joy Reid missed. Number 5, in a country of children where the option is Santa Claus or work, what wins? You understand? You understand that, right? I'm not. I mean, this is maybe one of the most important quotes. Now, I'm assuming everybody understands it, but it just makes such a great point. I just want to explain it. The government is, under Joe Biden, the government is Santa Claus. Under AOC, under Kamala Harris, the government is Santa Claus. Here, toys for you boys and girls. Here's some money. Take this damn money. I don't care if you're making $150,000 a year. Here, you will take the stimulus and you will shut up and be happy. You will comply. That's Santa Claus. And unfortunately, a lot of people need stimulus now, and I get that. But they want to make sure everybody gets it. So the income requirements are pretty much non-existent. So if you're given the choice of sitting on your butt at home, as many welfare don't get me wrong here. I'm stopping in the middle of this because I want to make some points. There are a lot of people who need a hand up. There are a lot of people, and I do not and will never deny them that. Never. But there are a lot of people, I've known many, there have been many in my life. I know some now that are accepting the handout. And somehow they know how to work the system, fill out applications, do what they need to do to make it look like they're eagerly looking for work. Or they make it look like nobody is living in the head of household, nobody else is living with them, but there is somebody who they don't report who is living there and working and paying the bills. But they've got this second income through welfare. I'm talking to you about people I know. Now, these are incidences I happen to know of. So this isn't, I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not going to name names, But I know these people. I know they're out there. I know this is what they do. Do you think they are ever going to go to work if they don't have to? Who would? Santa Claus is delivering every month. Fresh new EBT card or however it comes. Never been on welfare. Thank God, never needed it. Hope I never do. But that number 5 really hits me. Rush Limbaugh quote. In a country of children where the option is Santa Claus or work, what wins? I guess it depends on whether you're a stand-up person or not. For all the men out there, I can only speak to men because I am one. I am one and I identify as one. But if you can work, but you choose to work the system, you aren't a man. You aren't a man. You are a loser. There you go. There's what the word loser was created for. Not people who need it and get it. People who don't need it work the system and get it. And then maybe do a little work under the table or sell drugs or something. Again, these are anecdotal stories that I happen to know are true because I've known the people involved. Number 4, a Rush Limbaugh quote. These are all great, by the way. These are from Bongino.com. Number 4, the world's biggest problem is the unequal distribution of capitalism. If there were capitalism everywhere, you wouldn't have food shortages. Think about that. What was Obama about? What is Kamala? Kamala, if I can get power, I don't care about the women and children. Harris. What do these people want to do? They want to redistribute the wealth of the rich. They want the people who worked their asses off to get where they are, who employ thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. They should redistribute their wealth. They should pay for their success. They should be penalized for their success. Leftist ideology, again, doesn't make any sense. Not supposed to, doesn't have to. It's all about feelings. Remember that. Number 3, progress is not striving for economic justice or fairness, but economic growth. Number 2, you know why there's a Second Amendment? In case the government fails to follow the first one. Think about that for a minute. That's kind of scary, isn't it? Given what's going on today, given what we see today, government now is threatening to arrest people for hate speech, has arrested people for hate speech, for free speech. You heard about the guy who made memes during the election cycle, guy in Connecticut, I think. He was making memes, silly memes. They were silly to anybody who has a brain. Said, well, you can vote right on Facebook. All you have to... I mean, that's funny, right? Not when the FBI showed up at his house and now he faces 10 years in prison. But what about free speech? No. So I want you to think about this, especially all you folks who are anti-gun. You know why we're pro-gun? This is why. This is why. Rush had it right. You know why there's a Second Amendment? In case the government fails to allow or to follow the first one. And finally, here's number 1. What about feeling sorry for those who pay the taxes? Those are the people no one ever feels sorry for. They're asked to give and give until they have no more to give. And when they say enough, they're called selfish. Ain't it the truth? Hope we're painting a picture of liberalism for you this morning. Unfortunately, it took using some nasty, vitriolic voices to do that. And if you're just tuning in, I may relive that horrible moment that Joy Reid had last night and reread you the main professor, what she said. She's actually teaching in Alabama, Birmingham now, but she's a professor. She's an intellectual. She's smarter than you and me. That's why she's a professor. She's a wicked smart person who says some really dumb things, who wishes a painful death on people for using their First Amendment rights. Nice. We've got more, though. We've got Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Nice remembrances of Rush Limbaugh when we come back. 1028, I'm John James.
WSKW, AM 1160.
What's important here at Moody's is we have a lot of opportunity for upward mobility.
Moody's definitely helped me through. They sent me to school. I got my degree in business.
I had the demeanor and I had the willpower and the want.
Our trade is constantly changing and there's always new challenges that arise.
I definitely feel like an owner. It's very exciting.
When you like what you do, you like your job, you like the people you work with, what else could you ask for?
Bring your skills to Moody's and build a long-term future with us.
Townline Antiques wants to know, what are you shopping for today? Searching for furniture to add to your home? Townline Antiques has beautiful pieces of furniture for every room, built to last with quality materials from the past. Thinking of decorating in a classic style? You'll find enchanting home decor, artwork, glassware, and hundreds more items around every corner. Do you love collecting books, comics, coins, sports memorabilia, watches, or classic electronics? Townline Antiques has cool, rare, and one-of-a-kind items to add to your collection that you won't find anywhere else. And if you love searching through treasures of the past, here's more great news. Townline Antiques has expanded with extra booth space. Now there are even more quality antiques to browse every time you visit. Plus, there are a limited number of dealer spaces now available. If you'd like to learn about selling at Townline Antiques, just stop in. Townline Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5, Route 201, right on the Winslow-Vassaboro Town Line.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. Becoming mostly cloudy this morning and for today. Highs will be in the mid to upper 20s. Snow develops late tonight through tomorrow. Expect periods of light snow through the day tomorrow. Most areas are only looking at light accumulations of 1 to 3 inches. Slightly more possible for southernmost Maine and New Hampshire. Mostly cloudy Saturday, sunny Sunday with highs in the low 30s.
Your pet rally for freedom is back. Powered by the Gun Shop in Augusta on Coney Circle. Now, here's John James.
Hey, welcome back. 10:30. And we're doing a tribute to Rush Limbaugh today. And we've got a lot of other stuff to get to, and we'll get to it shortly, maybe before the top of the hour. But there are just some things I want you to hear from President Trump, from Vice President Pence. They did some nice tributes yesterday. We're getting a lot of comments coming in. I know you can't see all of them on the stream, so I try to post some of them. Derica says, got a funny story. Went out to a local small grocery store this morning and was looking for a car magazine to send in my dad's care package today. And there was only one, but there were about 15 gun magazines. And she says he loved it or loved it. I don't know if she sent him one, but she loved it. Amen. I'm telling you. Now, I hope there were a lot of gun magazines because they carried a lot, not because nobody was buying them. I was getting a bunch for a while. I get Concealed Carry, which is one of my favorite magazines, is Concealed Carry. I don't know if you can get it at stores. It comes if you subscribe or join the USCCA, the United States Concealed Carry Association, founded by great American Tim Schmidt. You get that magazine. And by the way, the USCCA, its primary purpose is not for magazines and merchandise, which it has, but it is for protection. And not the kind of protection you think when you think of guns. It's for protection for the gun owner who may have to use the gun on a thug at some point. It gives you money to fight your case. It gives you a good constitutional lawyer, an attorney, and gives you money to fund it, your defense. Because it doesn't matter if if the shooting is justified or not. You're going to have court time. But better to have court time than be dead, right? Or have one of your family members be dead. Better to spend time in court than going to a funeral home. It's the way I look at it. The old saying goes, better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6. And the USCCA does the insurance thing. In fact, you know what? You know what we're going to do? Tim Schmidt, I know Tim Schmidt, and he's a great guy. He's a smart guy, and we'll get him on the show sometime. We'll get Jeff Zimba back. He's another gun guy, and we'll talk about guns. Tim Schmidt is awesome. So is, if you want to find some really good training online, go to the USCCA, their Facebook page or their YouTube channel, and there's another great guy named Kevin Mikulowski who does all the training, and he has some great videos you can learn from. We'll try to maybe get them both on sometime. Tim Schmidt, definitely, though. It's 10:32 here on Legacy 1160 WSKW. And as we are remembering Rush Limbaugh today, there was a nice memorial on Fox that it actually all day long. And in fact, I think maybe their homepage still has Rush Limbaugh on their homepage. Big story on their homepage. But I tuned in after 1 o'clock yesterday. Harris Faulkner and Ed Henry on Fox had former President Donald Trump on to remember Rush Limbaugh, who was a very good friend to them. Faulkner opened the segment by recalling the Medal of Freedom that Rush was given on the night of the State of the Union address by Donald Trump.
It was a great honor to do so. When we gave the Medal of Freedom, it was something special. It was an incredible night. We gave it during the State of the Union address, and it was especially half the room. Half the room went crazy, and the other half of the room, they knew he should get it. But it was special, and he was special.
Mr. President, thank you for joining us. When was the last time you spoke with Rush Limbaugh?
3 or 4 days ago. I'd call him just to find out. His fight was very, very courageous, and he was very, very sick. And, from diagnosis on, it was just something that was not going to be beaten, but you wouldn't know it. And he is married to an incredible woman, Catherine, who really, every time I spoke to him, he would tell me how great she was. She took such great care. He was very brave. I mean, he, in theory, could have been gone 4 months ago, really. He was fighting till the very end. He was a fighter.
While
and just a great gentleman.
While you were in the White House, how did you view how he either carried on your message or chose to agree or disagree with the policies you had as Commander-in-Chief?
Well, first of all, you just had Sean on, Sean Hannity, who's incredible. And Sean would say there is nobody like Rush. Sean was the first to say that I used to say, well, what do you think someday? And he'd say he's irreplaceable. Rush is irreplaceable, unique. He had an audience that was massive. And, he could do something, Bill, and he would get up in the show and would just talk. He wouldn't take phone calls where, people would call in every 2 minutes, and that's sort of easy to do. He would just talk for 2 hours and 3 hours, just talk. And that's not an easy thing to do. And I once asked him, I said, do you study for the show? And he said, actually, I study very hard, which a little bit, Harris said, a little bit surprised me. But he was a fantastic man, a fantastic talent. And people, whether they loved him or not, they respected him. They really did.
They did. Well, most people. Still others did not. We've heard from a couple this morning, racist Joy Reid and the Alabama teacher, professor, who hails from Bangor, Maine. Now, Vice President Mike Pence also did a nice tribute to, and Mike Pence is very well spoken. He's certainly much lower key than Donald Trump. Donald Trump was very good, by the way, in that. He was very, very good. They had him on for a long time talking about Russia. I'm not sure how long they had Mike Pence on, but he also had some beautiful words for the late, great Rush Limbaugh.
Today, America lost a giant with the passing of Rush Limbaugh. And Karen and I literally joined millions of Americans in expressing our sympathy to Catherine, his brother David, and the tens of millions of people across this country who loved and cherish his incomparable voice. Thank you for having me on.
Delighted to have you. Mr. Vice President, we look back and we look at Rush Limbaugh and the voice that he gave so many. And you watched him in that 2009 CPAC speech just a few moments ago. And you saw him put his hand over his heart. And you saw just how much it meant for him to reach out to so many Americans who felt like their voice wasn't heard over the years, over the 3 decades that he was behind that microphone. What did he mean to your party, to the conservative movement?
Well, I must tell you, I mean, when I served in the House of Representatives, he was our greatest champion. When we were fighting a rearguard action for conservative values in Republican and Democrat administrations, he was there giving us air cover every single day. When I was governor of Indiana and when I served as vice president, he was the anchor of conservatism. Now, the Bible says the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and we're going to make that our prayer for their family. This country will never forget Rush Limbaugh, and I know that his legacy is going to live on for generations in the hearts of millions of Americans that he inspired. And it was an honor to know him, an honor to call him a friend, and he will be deeply missed.
He is just a nice man. You know, whatever you think of him, he just seems like a very nice man. That's former Vice President Mike Pence on the passing of Rush Limbaugh. Now, let's juxtapose that. And I do this for only for comparison's sake. If you were listening earlier, you've heard this, and it probably was like nails on a chalkboard, and it will be again. But you need Rush Limbaugh. A lot of his stuff was comparing the differences between the two sides, and that's what a lot of the his best quotes were that I went through earlier from Bongino.com. A lot of his best quotes were comparisons between liberals and I don't mean liberal in the classic sense. I mean leftist progressives and conservatives. The difference is thinking with a brain and thinking with emotion. The difference is compassion and feigned compassion, fake compassion, for the sake of virtue signaling at best. So, when you talk about despicable humans, when you talk about reprehensible individuals, Joy Reid of MSNBC certainly fits that. On the day of Rush Limbaugh's passing yesterday, after Catherine made that impassioned statement to start the show, even as millions and millions and millions of Americans mourned the passing of a legend, and not the legend in the sense of a rock star or an actor or an actress. Sure, those surprised you too. But this is a guy who really had a hand in changing the way we think about and value our American freedom. This was someone worth our attention and someone worth our mourning. And this as a juxtaposition is Joy Reid last night.
But Operation Chaos had contributed to the polarization of American politics. And more importantly, the idea of injecting chaos and sexism, manipulation, racism, and dirty tricks directly into the artery of the Republican Party, bloodying people up, rather than faking compassionate conservatism and trying to get crossover votes, that ultimately would become the defining feature of Republican politics. Rush ultimately got his way. Rush Limbaugh reached millions of listeners via his golden microphone, with his shows airing in small stations out in rural America that even Fox News couldn't reach, hardening rural white listeners and weaponizing white male grievance. And what I heard was a guy who took white Americans out there in the hinterlands and fed them a narrative of, you're the victim. No, you're the victim. Don't feel like there's any privileges coming to you. You're the victim. The brown people, the black people, the women, the feminazis, they're taking it from you. They're taking things from you. And it kept people so hyper and amped up that he then was able to turn that into politics.
Rush Limbaugh was right. This woman is just so out of her mind. She is such a nutcase. She is a complete and actual whack job. Yet she gets an audience on MSNBC every single night. How? Do people want to be angered by her every single night? Because she hates America. She hates white people. She hated Rush Limbaugh. And she didn't hide it, did she? Not even on the day he took his last breath. And speaking of that, there is a woman from Maine who, again, I am without words. Her name, for everyone to hear, is Sarah Parcak. Parcak. She's from Bangor, Maine. She's a professor. Well, gosh, she must be smarter than us. I'm not going to say anything about her because she's brilliant. She's brilliant. She has a brain. Then why did Sarah Parcak, an anthropology professor at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, say that she hoped Rush Limbaugh suffered until his last breath? Why would she say that about a man who's never done anything to her, never hurt her success? She said, quote, "When a terrible piece of scum who caused immeasurable harm to millions dies, there is no sympathy, only a desire that they suffered until their last breath." Okay, there's your left. There's your left. I see nobody calling to deny it. Nobody on the left saying, well, that's baloney. Rush Limbaugh was horrible. He's terrible. He ruined the what? Excuse me? You can't tell somebody who was broke, somebody who didn't have a job and had no money. You can't tell me somebody who didn't have a college education, who picked themselves up and made what Rush Limbaugh made of himself only by the grace of God and hard work. You can't tell me that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Number to call, I'm sorry, I haven't given either of the numbers out this morning. 621-9759, 207-621-9759, the voice line. You can also text us at 207-441-6969. 207-441-6969. So there you go. May Rush Limbaugh rest in peace. He certainly will be missed. It's 10:46. We'll be right back.
WSKW, Central Maine's Heritage Station.
Electrical repair should never be done without the knowledge of how to do it safely. Better yet, skip that stress and let Kennebec Electric and Lighting take care of it for you. Kennebec Electric has offered professional electric and lighting service and expert installation in homes and businesses for over 37 years, and they stand behind that experience with a guarantee on all their work. Kennebec Electric and Lighting. Contact them for all your electric and lighting servicing, including installations and repairs at 861-7028 or online at KennebecElectric.com.
What's important here at Moody's is we have a lot of opportunity for upward mobility.
Moody's definitely helped me through. They sent me to school. I got my degree in business.
I had the demeanor and I had the willpower and the want.
Our trade is constantly changing and there's always new challenges that arise.
I definitely feel like an owner. It's very exciting.
When you like what you do, you like your job, you like the people you work with, what else could you ask for?
Bring your skills to Moody's and build a long-term future with us.
Look around Central Maine and you'll see hardworking people doing amazing things. People like nurses and healthcare workers who keep us healthy, and teachers and childcare professionals who inspire us. There are line workers and electricians making sure the power stays on, while businessmen and women help our economy to grow. And the one thing many of them have in common is they got their start right here, close to home, at Kennebec Valley Community College. Hi, I'm Teresa Smith, Director of Advising at KVCC. Over the past 27 years, I've seen a lot of changes at the college. I've watched KVCC expand the programs we offer, where we offer them, and even how we offer them. To meet the needs of Maine's changing workforce, KVCC has always done what it takes. However, our commitment to provide students with the most affordable education in a supportive environment has never changed. Whether you're a high school student, a busy parent, or someone looking for a new career, KVCC is here for you. To learn more, visit us online at kvcc.me.edu or call 453-KVCC.
Your pep rally for freedom is back, powered by the Gun Shop in Augusta on Coney Circle. Now, here's John James.
Welcome back. We get 10:48 right now. On Legacy 1160 WSKW 207-441-6969 if you want to text. On any of our social media pages that we're on, you can comment there. Well, YouTube and Facebook, you can. And hope she loses her job because of that ugly statement. Yeah, for people watching on video, I put a picture of this deplorable Mainer, this woman who is a professor at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, who made such horrible statements about wishing Rush Limbaugh a painful death. She's from Maine. I don't know if any of our listeners know who she is when you saw her picture. I posted her picture on my Facebook. It's also on a bunch of others, too. I want her face to get out there. I want people to know what kind of a human being she is. Absolutely awful. The worst of the worst. She and Joy Reid and so many others, they think alike. People have seen this all over Twitter, all of these nasty statements that people have been saying about good thing he's gone, glad he's gone. Shameful. They have the right to free speech. Yes, they have a mouth, they have a voice. They should know when and when not to open it. See, that's the thing right there. You have the right to it. You have the right to say what you want, as long as you're not inciting violence like Donald Trump did by saying march peacefully and let your voices be heard at the Capitol. Then you're breaking the law. But if you merely say, like Chris Cuomo, who says protests have to be quiet and peaceful? Oh, yeah, the Constitution, Chris. When Joy Reid says, you stay out there, you stay at it, she says to the rioters. Kamala Harris bails them out. That's not inciting violence, you see. They have two different sets of rules. They have their rules, and they have the rules for everybody else they don't agree with. And they think they are the ones who can make and set and police these rules. But they can't. They cannot. Remember, and I don't mean this as a threat, but remember what Rush Limbaugh said. Why do we have a First Amendment? When the government fails to recognize the First Amendment. Keep that in mind as these days are getting very troubling, as free speech is inhibited more and more by the government, by academia, which many times is run by the government. Sorry to speak the truth. People don't like the truth. I got accused, a month ago, you're saying there's going to be a civil war. I didn't say it. I'm just saying, here's the deal. Here we have free speech, we have the Constitution, we have the government, and we have academia, and we have others who don't care about the Constitution. Well, you know what? That is why the Second Amendment is in the Constitution. That is why it's there. Don't be surprised if someday it is used for its intended purpose. I'm just saying, that's not inciting. That's just, cautioning, letting you know, giving you the information you need just in case something happens. Again, as I've always said, they can only push so far. There is a breaking point, and it seems more and more like they are not taking it seriously. Because everybody on the left thinks everybody on the right is like everybody on the left, like Obama on the left. Remember, he drew the red line, and the red line, we'll move it back. Draw another red line, move it back. Don't do this, or we're going to, you did it. Okay, we'll move it back. The line's pretty clear when it comes to the Constitution. And you've crossed the line now. Where exactly is the line before something happens? I don't know. I'd say we're getting pretty damn close. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. We don't listen to what the leftists say. We don't listen to you anymore. Because you say things out of anger. You don't say things out of intelligence. Nothing. Orange Hitler? Really? That's not out of anger? Give me a break. Shut up. Stop making yourself look like a 2-year-old who can spell orange. It's 10:54 on Legacy 1160 WSKW. And there is other stuff going on that we need to cover today. We have time? Yeah, okay. Let's see what Simone Sanders has to say about teachers going back. Now, we know Kamala Harris. Oh, we have one? Okay. Sorry, we got to take a real quick break. Back in 1 minute.
Incense and Peppermints doesn't just have a huge selection of scrumptious candies. They have sweet treats that'll bring back wonderful memories every time you share them. Incense and Peppermints has candy that's fun for the whole family, like Jelly Bellies, Smarties, Turkish Taffy, Mellow Cups, Laffy Taffy, and Necco wafers. And candy that'll take you on a trip memory lane, like old-fashioned penny candies, root beer barrel, atomic fireballs, Mary Jane's bit of honey, and jawbreakers. They even carry Maine favorites like moose poop and saltwater taffy. Incense and Peppermints, 48 Main Street in downtown Waterville.
See, that was quicker than I thought. I had no idea. Wasn't even a minute. That was 30 seconds, which is just fine. Okay, so now we got time. Let's start out with this. Kamala Harris, she has no idea what's going on. She's not ready to be president. Joe Biden certainly isn't ready. In fact, I want you to look at a video. I've got a link to it near the top of the page at legacy1160.com/FPR for Freedom's Pep Rally. And it's a video of Joe Biden you've got to see. It's troubling. He literally, and I'm not making this up, he looks like a nursing home dementia patient. It was leaked video. Him and Jill Biden. I swear, if you didn't know, you'd swear they put this patient in a suit, put him up in front of a camera, and put his caretaker, Jill, who looks very lucid and very with it, because she is, beside him. But look at it, and there's no dialogue. There's no dialogue. It's just the troubling picture. It's not a picture, it's a video, but it's very, very troubling. So take a look at it. So he's just a puppet, and Kamala Harris would have no idea what she's doing. Take what she's saying about schools going. She was on with the deplorable Savannah Guthrie yesterday, who pushes her on hardly anything. Nothing, because Savannah Guthrie is a mook. Let's face it. She's a puppet of Chuck Todd. So she doesn't answer the questions about the schools reopening, which the CDC says the schools can open. Open the frickin' schools. And the teachers don't need to be vaccinated before you open the frickin' schools. But Kamala would not answer the question. So they waste all this time on the Today Show. Now they've wasted all this time on CNN. The CDC has actually said it's safe for kids to return to full-time in-person learning, K through 8. CDC teachers do not necessarily need to be vaccinated. That's what the CDC says, in order to be safe. Simone Sanders, the chief spokesperson for Kamala Harris, repeatedly dodged the question from CNN's John Berman yesterday. John Berman actually engaging in some real journalism. Now listen to this woman. Nearly 3 minutes she dodges this question. Again, an utter waste of time for viewers. And on top of that, after 30 seconds, you're going to be completely annoyed by her voice. So Berman begins the interview on New Day by noting that Sanders, that Joe Biden's administration expects schools offering kindergarten through 8th grade will be open 5 days a week by the end of his first 100 days in office. When another part of the administration is saying, well, 1 day a week, maybe. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody will answer the question. You would think the spokesperson would be well-versed on what's happening. But Kamala's spokesperson, Simone Sanders, has no idea. So here she is with John Berman. Well, John. You'll get sick of hearing that, too. So Simone Sanders asked if the president thinks K through 8 schools could even reopen if teachers have not been vaccinated.
Thanks for having me this morning, John. Yes, lots of news. And let me just say that CNN town hall last night was excellent. I do believe I'm a little biased, obviously, given the background. The president, I thought, was very clear last night. The vice president this morning, Vice President Harris, was on the Today Show, and she reiterated. And let me reiterate yet again. Yeah. The president's and the administration's position is that by the end of the first 100 days, which is around April 30th, the president and vice president do believe that the majority of K through 8 schools will be able to be reopened and operating safely. How does that happen? That happens by ensuring that schools have the resources that they need in terms of mitigation measures. That it happens by people social distancing, making sure that we are doing things like wearing our masks, washing our hands frequently. And I think by
How frustrating. How frustrating.
By the end of late summer, beginning of early fall, during the traditional school year, September, I believe it is, that it is his hope that schools would be operating and open safely all over this country. And the way that we get there is by passing the American Rescue Plan. I will just say, John, that American Rescue Plan, I think is an important point to make, because that plan has money for schools to ensure that they get the resources that they need.
It's not a trick question, and I feel like you guys have treated it like a trick question. I think people just want to know what the White House position is on whether or not teachers have to be vaccinated for kids to return safely to school. The CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, says the science is that teachers don't necessarily have to be vaccinated for kids to return.
Right.
And I think people want to know what the White House position is on that.
The White House position is that, and the president and vice president believe that teachers should be prioritized for receiving the vaccination along with other frontline workers. And in at least 22 states in the District of Columbia, that's exactly what's happening.
Prioritize is one thing, and I think there's wide agreement they should be prioritized.
Right.
And why not? Is it necessary?
Right.
Though
Yes
that's
or
the
no?
question. It really is a yes/no question.
Well, John, I think the real question, frankly, if I can be frank here,
It's
is
not the real
what you're getting to
question.
is it safe for kids to go back to school? And
She's telling him what the question
Actually
is.
not. In this case, that's not the question. The question is it safe for teachers to go back to school? And that's a very specific question in this case. And again, I'm not sure. I don't understand why it's a hard question to answer. It may be that you want every teacher to be vaccinated. It may be the answer is, yeah, teachers should, if they can, be vaccinated before they return to school, but it's not necessary.
Well, John, I think the president has been clear, the vice president has been clear, and I think I was really clear just now that it is the administration's position, the president and vice president believe that teachers should be prioritized for vaccinations. And in 22 states,
Are you tired of that voice yet?
Columbia, that's exactly what is happening. You know, look.
I'll try one last time. Does the president feel that
yes or no
that teachers have to be vaccinated in order for schools to open safely? Yes or no?
The president believes that teachers should be prioritized for vaccination.
Okay, all right. He finally said, all right. John Berman on CNN finally said, yeah, all right, get her the hell out of here. Well, John, yes or no? Well, he asked her the question. It took her 3 minutes not to give an answer. Well, John. 11:03, we got to take a break. We'll be back. I'm John James.
From the Home Auto Group Studios, Farmington Ford and Franklin Chrysler in Farmington. This is WSKW, Skowhegan, Augusta, Waterville, Legacy 1160.
ABC News, I'm Jim Ryan. An unexpected jump in unemployment claims. Last week, 861,000 first-time filings were made, the highest number in a month. The jobs market is struggling to regain momentum during the pandemic. Crews are working to restore power across Texas. They say they're making significant progress. There are still hundreds of thousands of outages statewide. ABC's Marcus Moore in Dallas says water is a problem too.
Frozen pipes bursting under the pressure of the sub-freezing temperatures in the single digits and also the teens, causing problems across the region. Power outages have been reported from Dallas to Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. The entire state reeling from the effects of this historic winter storm.
Democrats on Capitol Hill are expected to unveil an immigration reform bill today. It would create an 8-year path to citizenship for the 11 million undocumented people in this country right now. This is ABC News. Australia is preparing to roll out its COVID vaccination program beginning next week. ABC's Tom Rivers has the latest from the Foreign Desk.
The program will begin in every state and territory and target first the elderly and vulnerable. Australian Health Minister Greg Hunt.
That program begins with a focus on those who are most vulnerable, either the risk of catching COVID-19 or the consequences if they were to catch COVID-19.
First to get the jab, thousands of nursing care residents across 190 towns. Frontline healthcare workers and quarantine and border staff will receive their first shot at 16 regional hubs. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
But news about the vaccines will be absent from Facebook news feeds in Australia, along with news about everything else. With Australian lawmakers considering a law that would require internet giants to pay for news content, Facebook has decided to block news on its site down under. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Black History Month, brought to you by Indeed. She spoke 6 languages, never went to college, but received more than 50 honorary degrees. Maya Angelou was a poet, civil rights activist, and award-winning author. Known for her acclaimed memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and her numerous poetry and essay collections. Indeed's Instant Match searches through millions of resumes in Indeed's database to deliver candidates who fit your job description instantly. More at Indeed.com/credit.
Hi there, Jackson Hewitt Tax Service here. Want to save some money filing your taxes?
File your taxes with Jackson Hewitt now and pay $50 less than you paid someone else last year. That's right. Pay $50 less than last year. Have your taxes done by a skilled Jackson Hewitt tax pro and get the biggest refund possible. Guaranteed. It's win-win-win. Get more, pay less, but act now. The offer won't last. Get your coupon code and offer details at jacksonhewitt.com. That's Jackson Hewitt.
He's not the best looking, best dressed, or most charming person you'll ever meet, but he is the friendliest man in America. The one and only John James on Legacy 1160 WSKW.
Hi. Hi, how are you? Got a 1107. I reached out to I reached out to my friend Bruce Stevens. Okay. All right. He's very busy today. He's a radio guy too. Bruce Stevens worked talk radio for many years. BZ, WTIC. He worked with Kerry Pahigian, who's in Baltimore, who Mike Violette had on earlier today to comment about the passing of Rush Limbaugh. So there you go. 1107 here on your radio. Freedom's Pep Rally is on your radio, and we are also on Parler. Parler is up. It was on. We were on it the other day when it first came back, and then after posting that it was back, people were saying, I can't get on it. I can't get on it. So yesterday, I couldn't get on it. Today, I'm on it. Probably just having some hiccups there. They scrambling. They had to change servers because they were canceled because the cancel culture hates free speech. When free speech becomes a privilege, that's when you'll see a real insurrection. And it's getting there. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it to be mean or confrontational or angry. I'm just stating it as fact. And people don't understand. They don't get that. They don't get how important every amendment is, including the first, including and especially the second. They don't get it. They don't understand where we are coming from, what we are talking about. They call us hate speak. They accuse us of hate speech and accuse us of being gun nuts and ammosexuals. Yes, that is a real leftist term. Kind of funny, actually. But they mean it to be mean. They mean it to be angry. They're angry, so they call us ammosexuals. If the SHTF, who do you think they're going to come running to? Sorry, my door is going to be closed and locked. Find somebody else with a gun who can protect your sorry butt. And I'm talking about those who try to push gun control at every turn. It's all fun and games until you need protection, my friend. $11:10. And Kamala, we're talking about Kamala and her inability to do anything, really anything, except get more power, right? I mean, she is good at that. She is good at always being able to get more power. How does she do that? Well, at the risk of being controversial and hateful, I'm not even going to say that right now, but I tell you what, read Profiles in Corruption by Peter Schweitzer. Everything you need to know. And in the interim, you can Google Willie Brown. Willie Brown, California, Kamala Harris. And you'll learn a little bit. Not all you need to know. You learn more about her with that book, Profiles in Corruption, but that'll give you a start. Willie Brown, Kamala Harris. So, the White House published a readout, and I'm not talking about Joy Reid's show, although I'm sure they love it. I'm sure they love Joy Reid's show because she speaks to their choir. She speaks to the racists. So the readout is a readout of Vice President Kamala Harris' call with President Emmanuel Macron of France. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. This appeared in the National Pulse. Here's what it says. Now listen closely to this, and I'll tell you why this is important. It states, Vice President Kamala Harris today spoke with President Emmanuel Macron in France and expressed her commitment to strengthening bilateral ties between the United States and France and to revitalizing the transatlantic alliance. Vice President Harris and President Macron agreed on the need for close bilateral and multilateral cooperation to address COVID-19, climate change, and support democracy at home and around the world. They also discussed numerous regional challenges, including those in the Middle East and Africa, and the need to confront them together. The Vice President thanked President Macron for his leadership on the issue of gender equality and for France's contribution to NASA's Mars 2020 Perseverance rover. It is bizarre for a vice president to be making contact with and discussing goals with world leaders just weeks into a new administration, don't you think? Harris also recently spoke with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. So what gives? What gives? Well, to the educated eye, you would think that Kamala Harris is getting ready for, God forbid, God help us all, a stint as president. Now, I could say a lot of things here, a lot of mean, hateful things that are probably true. But I won't. I'll say that'll be bar talk. Is that scary? Oh, and by the way, Joe Biden or neither Joe nor Kamala have contacted Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. Why would you want to do that? One of our greatest allies in the Middle East, whose capital would still not be recognized as Jerusalem if not for Donald J. Trump. Oh, and by the way, there's a lot of Middle East peace going on now, thanks to Donald J. Trump. Oh, but he did nothing. Donald Trump did nothing. Leftists, please, stop pretending. Stop pretending like you know more than us. You see the same things we do. We act out of intelligence and intellect. You act out of anger and hatred. There's the difference. I'm saying it as nice as I can. Let me say it again. I'm going to cut this piece out of the show and I'm going to repost it. Share this with all your liberal friends. This is me saying it, not you. You're just the messenger. When we act out of intellect and common sense. When the leftist progressives act, they act out of feelings and emotions and an actual lack of intellect and common sense. Now, I hope that didn't hurt you too much. And if it did, sorry, not sorry. Think about that. It may help you in your future endeavors. 11:16. Well, guess what's part of the stimulus? Killing babies! Woo! Yeah. Even as Joe Biden says he's going to pull the plug, pun intended, I guess, pull the plug on capital punishment, he wants to make more federal money available for baby killing. Oh, but it's legal baby killing. Oh, it's not like killing babies illegally. No, because the government decides if it's right or wrong. The government is deciding that it's wrong of you to kill somebody who slayed your family ruthlessly, brutally, came into your house one night and killed your whole family. It's wrong to put them to death. If you kill somebody who killed your whole family, you are a murderer. However, the government says it's okay. It's okay. If you want to kill that little baby who's on a trajectory to maybe become a great human being, to at the very least looking up at you and saying, Mama, why? Why, Mama? Why, Mama? Hold me, Mama. Hold me, Mama. Hold me, Mama. I hurt my finger. Oh, it's okay to kill them. Oh, go right ahead. That's fine. The person who killed your family, don't you dare lay a hand on them. You're gonna face prison time for that. But if that baby, if that innocent little baby growing within you is inconvenient, come on in. Come on in. We're gonna legally annihilate it. We're going to, what would be a nice way to put it? We're going to dispatch it for you. There it is. There's some police talk. We're going to dispatch that inconvenient little baby inside you. So you don't have to, so you can go on with your, whatever you got. Maybe you have a drug, maybe you deal drugs, maybe you work, you've got a career, maybe you want to get ahead. Maybe you're like Kamala Harris, you want to be vice president someday. Kamala Harris is for abortion. She's for baby killing. I don't know if she herself has ever killed a baby, but she could, and she would have no problem with it. Because that's okay. That's okay to kill a baby. But a murderer, don't you dare touch a murderer. This is how ass backwards the left is. No morals, no scruples, no compassion, all talk. Shut up. Learn, listen, be objective, critical thinking. They have none of it. None of what I just said. None of it. They have none of it. They say they do, but they don't. They say they're compassionate. They say they're tolerant. They say they're inclusive. They are none of it. None of it. They only say it to make you feel like you are inferior to them. Oh, I've stepped on some liberal toes there, but it's the truth, isn't it? You know it's the truth. Think about it. Become a better person because we're on to you. Try to become a better person. You don't have to follow, what the right does 100% of the time, but you can at least use a little compassion, use a little common sense, use a little of the intellect. God, oh, wait a minute. You don't believe in God, many of you. Okay, well, use the intellect you've got that nature gave you. So the White House published a report, and this was in the Washington Free Beacon. Democrats are trying to reinstate Title X. Do you know what Title X is? Title X is what Joe Biden said, I'm against Title X, before he said, I'm for Title X. Any way the wind blows. The Biden administration's $1.9 trillion relief package includes, remember, this is the money that Joe and Kamala and AOC and others want to help out Americans who need help because the coronavirus lockdowns, which the Democrats have used to usurp control. Yes, that's why they've used it, not to keep us safe. They don't care about keeping us safe. They could care less. Why do you think Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, Gavin Newsom go out without a mask on after they say you've got to wear a mask everywhere you go? In public, they do this because they know it's not that big a deal. It's not a huge issue, and they will not follow their rules. Why do you think Nancy Pelosi can go around the metal detector in the House of Representatives, but as soon as a Republican does, he gets fined $5,000? Good enough for thee, but not for me. They don't care about you, and they don't care about unborn children. $1.9 trillion stimulus includes $50 million toward the Title X program, which the Trump administration ended. So the Biden administration's reinstating the rule will restore significant revenue stream for Planned Parenthood so they can kill more babies. Wow, that's great. Keep those murderers alive. Keep those child molesters alive. Keep those who have raped and pillaged and beat women and killed families. Keep them alive. Please keep them alive. We've got plenty of money to feed them for the rest of their lives. And we don't want to kill them because humanity. But you go ahead and you kill the babies. Kill the babies. What have they ever done to deserve life? What have they ever done to not deserve life? What will they do if given the chance to live? They're helpless. They're helpless. Oh, it's just a clump of cells. As soon as the egg is fertilized, my friend, whether you believe in science or not, science is science, and what I'm saying is science. The egg is fertilized, the baby, the cells are on a trajectory to be a human being. The trajectory has been set. Deny it all you want. Justify it by, oh, it's just a clump of cells. Don't picture a little baby with big eyes looking at you and smiling and sneezing and saying its first words, mama, dada. Don't picture that because that'll make you not want to murder that baby. Oh, that's justifiable. I mean, she's got a career. Then you should have thought about it before you had sex. Bingo! Wow! How is that guy on the radio so freaking smart? Oh, and he's so self-righteous. He thinks killing babies is bad, and he thinks it's good. Can you believe it? He thinks it's good to kill murderers, to kill those poor people who had a tough time growing up, and the only way they could survive is to steal things by murdering homeowners and taking their stuff. It's the only way you can survive. Your compassion is misplaced, my leftist friend. Way, way misplaced. There will be a judgment day in my mind. Think about that. Think about that. House Democrats are shamefully pushing a massive expansion of abortion on demand paid for with your and my tax dollars, and we have nothing to say about it. They're disguising it as COVID-19 relief. $50 million worth. Planned Parenthood. Yeehaw! Maybe we'll be able to buy a new hypersonic Electrolux low, whatever it is, vacuum cleaner to suck those babies out of the womb. Maybe this one maybe it'll have a HEPA filter on it. Wow, that's the Rolls Royce of abortion vax. We'll be able to afford. No, how about buy a couple more? Gurneys to put murderers on to inject them with lethal drugs, or a couple of old Sparkies. If you watch The Green Mile, you know what I'm talking about. A couple of old Sparkies. Texas is they're not to joke. They were one of the last states to use the electric chair, right? And right now, with frozen windmills and a frozen power grid, those inmates are breathing a sigh of relief. Of course, there won't be any inmates on death row, given Joe Biden's desire to do away with all death penalty, except the death penalties of babies. Why is that not considered a death penalty of the innocent? Why? I don't get that. I guess I just don't think. I guess I've got to think the opposite of what seems to make sense. So if I think the opposite of what seems to make sense, well, sure. Yeah, keep the killers, murderers, people who maim families, keep them alive. And you want to kill those evil babies. It could be a demon seed. Right? And why give people tax money back? We need more tax money so they'll be poor. We need to balance things out. We need to redistribute the wealth. We need to give people money they don't want or need so they'll want more government help. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And if we can't stop them with talk and common sense, I shudder to think what it'll take. But they're pushing and pushing and pushing, and now that Biden is in office, all bets are off, because not only do they want to redo America in their own vision and take us over, we become their serfs, but they want to do it by making D.C. a state. They're still talking about it, by the way. That's further and further along. You don't know that, but it is. And Puerto Rico is saying, well, we need statehood. Just what they want. Democratic rule for life. And we know how well that's going, right? We had it so good under Trump. But the typical progressive left will not admit or recognize it. Even as one of their heroes, a communist, Van Jones, admitted, well, hey, I hated Donald Trump. I'm a never-Trumper just like the rest of the people in the Lincoln Project. But I got to admit, he did some good things for black people, funding historically black colleges, lowering the unemployment rate, the First Step program for prisons. Most progressives aren't that honest. So, anyway, to finish this story up, this just makes me so angry. They're pushing this massive abortion expansion in the guise of COVID-19 relief, including payouts to Planned Parenthood. Susan B. Anthony List President Marjorie Dana Felser said this in a news release last week. I'm not sure about the Susan B. Anthony List, but Marjorie, who's it, is the president, apparently. The divisive agenda flies in the face of unity, of course. $11:31. We good? Okay, we have to take a quick break. I need a drink of water. I need a drink of water and a deep breath. We'll be back. Thank you for being here. I mean that. I mean that. You know I do. I'm John James.
Legacy 1160, WSKW.
With salt and sand from the road getting everywhere, Linux of Augusta has what you need to protect the inside of your vehicle. Stop in today and see the selection of WeatherTech mats, trunk liners, and accessories available for nearly any vehicle to protect those high-use areas. Or maybe you're thinking of installing a fiberglass truck cap. With Lear fiberglass truck caps, they offer a range of sizes that will boost both the value and the usefulness of your truck in all seasons. Call Linux of Augusta today at 582-0282 or stop by at 509 Main Avenue in Farmingdale.
Townline Antiques wants to know, what are you shopping for today? Searching for furniture to add to your home? Townline Antiques has beautiful pieces of furniture for every room built to last with quality materials from the past. Thinking of decorating in a classic style? You'll find enchanting home decor, artwork, glassware, and hundreds more items around every corner. Do you love collecting books, comics, coins, sports memorabilia, watches, or classic electronics? Townline Antiques has cool, rare, and one-of-a-kind items to add to your collection that you won't find anywhere else. And if you love searching through treasures of the past, here's more great news. Townline Antiques has expanded with extra booth space. Now there's even more quality antiques to browse every time you visit. Plus, there are a limited number of dealer spaces now available. If you'd like to learn more about selling at Townline Antiques, just stop in. Townline Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5, Route 201, right on the Winslow-Vassalboro Town Line.
Hi, this is Tony Esposito from Rockland Ford. This year has been crazy, and it has majorly affected the car market. Here's what you need to know. COVID has slowed down new car supplies to a trickle, and factories are still shutting down because parts aren't available. Now, what does that mean for you? That means that your used car has never been worth more. In fact, it might be worth more than what you paid for it. Rockland Ford wants to buy your car, and we are paying top dollar for everything, especially trucks. So swing by or give us a call because we are buying everything. Also, the redesigned 2021 F-150s are here, and they are easily the best F-150 I've ever seen. They have tons of new features and a great new look. You can lease one of these bad boys for as low as $379 a month. Don't forget to maximize your used vehicle's value by selling it to us. That's at Rockland Ford, home of the Rock Bottom Deal, Route 1 in Thomaston.
Lease for 36 months, 12,000 miles a year, $3,500 down with qualified credit.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. Becoming mostly cloudy this morning and for today. Highs will be in the mid to upper 20s. Snow develops late tonight through tomorrow. Expect periods of light snow through the day tomorrow. Most areas are only looking at light accumulations of 1 to 3 inches. Slightly more possible for southernmost Maine and New Hampshire. Mostly cloudy Saturday, sunny Sunday with highs in the low 30s.
Oops, that was my fault. Sorry about that. Little dead air there. We've got 11:34 on Legacy 1160 WSKW. Before I get away from the abortion thing, there is so much that it's an industry we unfortunately don't know a lot about, or maybe fortunately, but in this case, unfortunately, I think. It just went, as I was talking about killing babies, I remember about this doctor, Dr. Ulrich Klopfer. Do you remember this guy? This was a story from Illinois. And this guy, he was no longer an abortion doctor, and he just died. And they had found he had kept thousands of, well, do you have the story queued up in there? All right, just listen to this. Is just a microcosm of the abortion industry. And who knows what other professionals do things like this Dr. Ulrich did.
For the first time, we are seeing what investigators saw when they entered the garage of Indiana's most controversial abortion doctor. In 2019, Dr. Ulrich Klopfer died. Weeks later, his family discovered dozens of boxes containing thousands of fetal remains. Chris Ty here now with this story and images you'll only see on 2.
Marie, we may never know why Dr. Ulrich Klopfer did what he did, but tonight, our closest look and our cleanest insight into how he did it.
The 31 years that I've been doing this job, I've never seen anything like this ever.
And for the first time, you are seeing what Dr. Ulrich Klopfer kept hidden inside his Will County garage, surrounding his cars, tucked behind luggage, stacked to the ceiling.
Wow.
Boxes, some of them wilting, some of them coolers, all of them containing fetal remains. 2,246 remains in all. They are from cases he handled from 2000 through 2002.
That's just him.
Only discovered after his natural death in September of 2019.
Souvenirs, perhaps? Wow. Oh, we got a little disagreement going on in the feed. I love this. And people are, oh, you're opinionated, but, you know, I love it. See, conservatives can talk. Conservatives can disagree and still find common ground. And leftists, and there's another big difference. And this bears pointing out. We do disagree with each other. I'm sure a lot of people disagree with me on some things, and that's okay. We agree on so much, and we find things we would never think we'd agree on. We agree on, and we talk. If you are a leftist and you disagree with another leftist, you're canceled. Because they have it's a very well-oiled machine, actually. The progressive left seems to have a narrative, a very specific narrative that you cannot divert from, even a little bit, or you're canceled. They'll yell, they'll swear, they'll dox you. Yes, dox you. And they will do that to the right. I had a good friend recently who does a conservative show, nobody in this state, who was doxxed by the left and by her own family. They said her name, they said where she lives. You have to walk in lockstep where we can disagree and do so because nobody, if we like the left, only, and by the way, most of them are lying. They don't agree on everything, but they pretend they do because they want to be in the in crowd. You understand how it works? Understand, they cannot publicly say that, you know what, I agree with you. Donald Trump did do some good things here. They cannot say it. Trust me, they cannot say it on social media. And they will not say it because they know if they do, they will be excoriated. Now, you know what you disagree with. If I say something you disagree with, you know it right away. I'm very public about it because I don't care. But we have enough in common, so we're fine. You're not going to cancel me or dox me. I know you. I know you won't. You're my friend. You're my buddy. I hope you're my buddy. But, you know, this is another hallmark of the left. You have to walk in lockstep or you're canceled. And we've seen that a lot. During the election cycle, we saw it a lot. I had many cases of it. Somebody going to a leftist going to a Trump rally just to see if these people are all Nazis and all hateful the way the left portrays conservatives. Hey, buddy. Thank you, Lisa. And two women, there were two women, two different instances of women who did this, went to a Trump rally to see. And they both publicly stated, they made the mistake of publicly stating, it was nothing like I expected. The people there were all nice. Everybody was friendly. They knew I was a Democrat, but they welcomed me anyway. And they said they were so surprised and shocked that it didn't fit the narrative they had been told by their party, by their progressive left friends, that they posted it. And they were taken apart by their own. So believe me, there are probably a lot more people that agree with us out there than you know, but you'll never know because they can't say it publicly. They are in a cult. They literally are in a cult. They don't know this. They could realize it if they would open their mind enough to see and say, wow, you know what? I do agree with this, but I really don't dare to say it. The stupid guy on the radio, the dummy on the radio is right. I am not saying what I feel because I know if I do, my friends who love me because I say everything they want me to say, they're gonna hate me and make fun of me. Oh, there's more of that than you know. Again, it's on their side. 11:41. Oh, here's some news about the insurrection. This is interesting. The radical Antifa BLM agitator, who was one of the guys who infiltrated the Capitol riots, he took video. He's charged with provoking criminal acts. He has been charged. And you won't hear this on the other media. You will not. But it's a fact. It's a fact. His name is John Sullivan. That's his name. We aren't hiding who he is. We aren't making it up. Look him up. John Sullivan. Antifa, BLM. He's an agitator. He was paid off by CNN and MSNBC. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying just because you hate Chuck Todd and Chris Cuomo. No, I'm not, actually. John Sullivan, charged for his participation in the January 6 riots, was paid $35,000 apiece from CNN and NBC for his footage inside the Capitol. He provoked it so he could make bank. Antifa BLM agitator. He knew what he was doing. It's like MSNBC and CNN. I mean, this guy follows their own heart. It's their model. They create news so they can report it. That's what this guy did. He created news by being an agitator, inciting people to riot so he could capture. He was already there with his phone, captured it all on video, sold it. $70,000 between NBC and CNN. Not making that up. Oh, the media. We trust the media. Politico reported that Sullivan, who had captured the death of pro-Trump demonstrator Ashley Babbitt on video after what appeared to be a staged event, then uploaded the video and several others incriminating himself. And he will not be banned from social media usage. No, because he's a member of the right party. He's a member of the right group, the in crowd, the cool kids. How about that? Did you know that? Did you have any idea? Would you have ever guessed that this could happen in America? Well, you're threatening civil war, I'm told. No, I'm not threatening it. I'm not threatening it. I'm not threatening anybody. I wouldn't threaten anybody. I'm just saying. Push. You push. You're going to keep pushing. Because patriots, real American patriots, will not accept tyranny. Period. The end. In fact, the Constitution mandates that we take action. It's the law. It's the law that we take action if the government becomes tyrannical. If the government thinks it can control the people, that's the definition of tyranny, then we are commanded by the Constitution to take action. What will that action look like? Well, there's no telling. Push. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. I hope you don't. Leftists, I hope you don't. I hope you think. Hope you've got a little common sense in there and don't think completely with your gutless, moral-less emotions. But I fear that may not be the case. 11:45. Tomorrow we're gonna cover some gun control stuff. I was gonna do it today. I didn't have time. So I've got some other stuff that is stuff you want to know. You may not think you want to know, but you want to know it. So why is racism such a big deal? Why is racism always talked about? Why is systemic racism and white privilege, why is that always in the news? It must exist. They're always talking about it. Who's always talking about it? Joy Reid? Al Sharpton? Mika Brzezinski? Them? Don Lemon? Them? That's why. That's why. Most conservatives, most people, I hope, have moved beyond racism. But racism, stoking the flames of racism, yields power to the progressives. I'm not making that up. Morgan Freeman, a progressive himself, told Mike Wallace years ago, when asked, how do you stop racism? 4 words. 4 words. Stop talking about it. Morgan Freeman. They can't. They won't. It's power. It's anger. It's hate. I mean, Joy Reid, on the day Rush Limbaugh died, talking about how he fueled hate of black and brown people and white supremacy. Who is making people angry? Let's move beyond it. But they can't. And now the schools and academia have to teach it. They're teaching it. Listen to this. Sign of the Times, the city public school principal is asking parents in New York City to reflect on their whiteness. Okay, can you tell me how are we supposed to move beyond racism with this stuff? And with this stuff, USM, the race baiters at University of Southern Maine, sign the anti-racism pledge. What? Are you out of your mind? I almost had a poor choice of words there. And it wouldn't have been intended as a joke either, but just saying, I caught myself. So here's what's going on. And this is a real head shaker. The woke offensive at the East Side Community School in Manhattan features a ranking list titled, quote, The 8 White Identities, which ranges from white supremacist to white abolitionist. In fact, there's a parochial school I heard last night, I think it might be in New York too, that says you're born a white supremacist. If you're white, you're born a white supremacist. And we are the least racist country probably in the world. We have the most laws making racism illegal, protecting people of all colors and creeds. Yet, they just can't leave it alone. The curriculum, written by Barner Hess, an associate professor of African American Studies at Northwestern University in Illinois, claims, quote, there is a regime of whiteness and there are action-oriented white identities. People who identify with whiteness are one of these. And then he posts his little half pie chart, saying it's about time we build an ethnography of whiteness, since white people have been the ones writing about and governing others. Notwithstanding the fact that Kamala Harris is vice president and Barack Obama was president for 8 years, the white people have ruled. So, yeah, we'll just ignore that. We'll ignore the obvious. We won't believe with our eyes that we have a black vice president and we had a black president for 8 years. That's just ignore that. Forget that. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Here are your 8 white identities. I've got a lot of black friends, and I know a lot of black voices that would laugh at this as much as I am. Here you go. This is a nice, colorful chart here, too. There's white supremacist, white voyeurism, white privilege, white benefit, white confessional, white critical. I don't know what half of these mean. White traitor and white abolitionist. Now, Christopher Rufo, RUFO, of the Discovery Institute, wrote in a tweet that included a posting of this curriculum. He said, quote, "This is the new language of public education." A Twitter user scolded Rufo. Listen to this. Listen to the scolding this guy got. "If you find this hostile or unnerving, it's because you are fearing the loss of power and advantage that your skin color has afforded you. It's an agenda to bring true equality." Another poster said this: "This is what public school spends time and money on. Anti-racism, like this, is a poison." It is an absolute poison, but the left subscribes to it. And if you say anything about it, if you knock it, you are a racist. And you, like me, will be called out on some racist Twitter feed. Like my chicken restaurant friend, Laura Benedict at the Red Barn, was called out as a racist because she supported local police. So she's these people are incorrigible, and they're idiots. They are plain and simple not the intellects they portray themselves as. And they can portray themselves pretty good because they're pretty good speakers. They're pretty smart when it comes to book knowledge. But when it comes to life, when it comes to common sense, when it comes to real critical thinking, they have a deficit. A huge, huge deficit. Critical thinking is not something they even entertain. So don't be offended when they call you out, when they yell at you, when they scream at you, when they call you names. Don't be offended. They can't help it. It's just who they are. It's how they fuel themselves. 11:53. We're about out of time here. See if I've got something quick I can leave you with. I don't know. I really don't. We got a lot of stuff to get to tomorrow. We'll be talking guns tomorrow. Not all morning, but we'll certainly talk about some guns. We had to use a lot of time here to remember Rush Limbaugh today. A great voice passed, and despite what the racists like Joy Reid say, like the haters from the University of Alabama, Birmingham, the Bangor, Maine native, no matter how evil and corrupt and uncompassionate people like that are, we know the truth, and we understand there is free speech. And while they can use it all they want, they just show themselves as the ignoramuses that they truly are. And the haters and the angry, vitriolic people they truly are. They are, without a doubt, very, very subhuman and reprehensible. And again, that's stating it in the best possible terms. 11:54. Have a great afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Friday. Mike Violette back here tomorrow at 6. I'm John James.
AM 1160, WSKW.
If you're dreaming up a new bathroom floor, custom shower, or kitchen backsplash, HT Winters has the tile you need to build it with quality and style. With lines including New Hampshire and Fitzgerald tile, you can rest assured your new project